Good morning. I'm going to start with a story in honor of Sharon, who's queen of storytelling. I'm not honestly that great at it, but she's so good at it. And I thought I would wind my way in with a story this morning. We'll get there. It's like when people come to the one-on-one sessions that are in Cove, Oregon, the in-person one-on-ones. I could 99.9% of the time they say, I don't have anything to talk about. I go, brilliant. That's exactly right. Let's just spiral our way in. It's the woman's way to spiral our way in. Directness with the arrows is beautiful too, but spiral our way in this morning. So some of you have been to Vajra Vidya in Crestone. Some of you are very familiar with it. It's a Tibetan Buddhist temple. I should say also that Crestone, Colorado is a very unique place. It's represent an expression of sky mind, and people visiting for the first time will like find themselves sort of just wandering vaguely, like not knowing where they are. And it's just it is a certain frequency, right? And it has a beautiful history that I won't go into right now, but there are many temples represented there from many different paths. So Vajra Vidya is a Kagyu lineage temple in Crestone, Colorado. And there are dear friend. There are three teachers there, three monastics. Our dear friend Ani Lodro, who some of you know, and the two Khenpos. And I don't know exactly how the titling goes in their lineage. They're not lamas, but they're monastics at the temple. Khenpo Lobsang and Khenpo Jigme. And then a couple of years ago, they just started recognizing Sharon as a teacher too. She did nothing but be Sharon. And she would say, I don't know exactly what's happening, but I'm just kind of going, and, Tibetan Buddhism and Buddhism in general normally has a lot of hoops, a lot of hierarchy, a lot of things that have to be, realized and all of that to be a teacher for sure. But Trangu Rinpoche, who just recently, I don't know what they call it, actually, there's probably a word, but passed from his body in the spring. This is according to Ani Lodro, who that is her Rinpoche, her root teacher. He had a vision that the feminine was to begin to come into the temple and to be reawakened in the lineages and to take its rightful place. So it's kind of a unique situation there. Trangu Rinpoche, a true bodhisattva who escaped from Tibet in 1959 with absolutely nothing. And then, there were tens of thousands of people at his cremation. He had a monastery with 9 orphans from Tibet at the time, and they would have, like one piece of bread, and they would split it 9 different ways. And then he, through his heart, not his doing, but his heart felt compassion, grew around him. So he's had this vision, and the Khenpos at the Vajra Vidya have given Ani Lodro this, kind of, I don't know what they would call it, a mission. That's probably not the right word, but encouraged her to facilitate that. And Sharon is most definitely a part of it. I mean, they consider her to be the fourth teacher up there. So Ani started welcoming me to teach there as well. And I kept saying, I don't really know a lot about Buddhism, but it's not really about that. And she's welcomed other female teachers and encouraged this whole reawakening of the divine feminine within, not in opposition to what has happened or in some kind of like, I'm a survivor of patriarchy. No, just as a welcoming to what's actually happening in the world right now, where the divine feminine is being reawakened. It's just dropping into people's consciousness all over the world. So anyway, that's kind of Vajravidya. If you ever get a chance to be there, it's a beautiful temple, an amazing, it's quite something to teach there. They're very just open arms. I don't know if it's just Ani Lodro. She says it's not. It's the whole lineage. That's her perception. So, I just kind of go marching in there with my picture of Mary with her chest open and the heart, the flaming heart, and stick it right next to the Buddha. And it's like, it's great. It's all great. So, Khenpo Lobsang, I mean, when I look at him, I just see a smile. It is like a global smile. It is just a smile. And his teaching, he's still learning English, but his teachings don't need very many words at all. They don't need very many words. His demeanor, who he is the teaching, how he expresses. But you can have private meetings with him at Sharon's retreats if he's there, and not like in Nepal, or, he goes and teaches to 7,000, I don't know, people in Singapore, where they all meet. It's a big lineage. But sometimes he's at the temple. And I had been having some experiences in meditation where, and this has sort of always been the case here, the symbolism of like the whole pantheon of Hindu symbolism and Tibetan Buddhism symbolism. I never know what it is because I didn't grow up in any religion or anything like that. But they drop in, and it's just coming from the psyche, the universal mind, the psyche. I guess you could say the symbols that represent the frequencies of, compassion and all the rest. So I had been having some symbols drop in, some, not just symbols, frequencies, energies. Mahakala, Kalima, Vajrapani, and I would look them up on Google, and they were representations of power. Well, in English, power, and is an interesting word. I studied with another teacher named Dr. David Hawkins, who wrote an amazing book that has touched many people's lives, called Power versus Force. And force is in the realm of this duality, this and this, opposing forces. And power is in the realm of grace. It's of a different magnitude, of a different frequency, of a different energy. But the mind can think of like power over, right? Power over something, or try to reduce it to an idea of force, that it's in opposition to something, like we do with peace or compassion or any of it. The mind will put it in opposition to war or hate or fear or whatever it is, because the mind can't understand uncaused peacefulness, uncaused love, uncaused power, power without an opposite. So I asked for an audience with him. I wanted to speak with him about this and what the, Mahakala, Vajrapani, what his take on all of that was. And it's very beautiful to sit with him. It's very, very heart opening. And I mean, I almost didn't want to ask the question. I almost just wanted to sit there. And he said, well, do you have a question? I said, I don't know. And he said, oh, good, let's just sit here. And for a while we did. But then I said, what is power and Vajrapani? And we talked a little bit. But he said something that has been integrating for a couple of years now here. Power is emptiness and compassion. And that is so powerful. Because we tend to forget the emptiness piece and think that there will be a good spiritual person doing something, being something, achieving something, giving something, getting something, the whole thing. Power, some of you know, I'm one of those like nerds who likes to read the dictionary. Words are really something to me, and there's a whole thing with that. But if you look power up, it's the capacity to act in a certain situation. And in this case, what I'm speaking of, it is the capacity, the ability to respond as the moment, in the moment. No separation. So only the moment will ever inform as power. It can't be strategized, planned, decided upon, felt good about, all the stuff we do. It's okay. It's okay. But it's not, it is emptiness and compassion. It's the Heart Sutra, the Zen Heart Sutra. Emptiness is nothing but form, and form is nothing but emptiness. This is not for the mind to understand. This is known in the heart. The Heart Sutra. It's known in the heart. Nisargadatta Maharaj said it beautifully. I look in and I find nothing. And that is wisdom. I look out and I find everything, and that is love. And between these two, my life turns. So, we can realize emptiness, and sometimes it's, there have been phases here that I would have called desert phases. Desert. I spoke to Ani about it, and she said, oh, in Tibetan Buddhism, that's just one taste. You're just in the one taste phase. But it's I don't know how to say it. When you look out at the world and everything tastes the same, all your beloveds, all your not beloveds, all your thises and that's, same, 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 same. There's no human emotion there, which feels really different than what we're used to and what we're expecting from enlightenment. So emptiness can have lots of different phases and lots of different unfolding there. Somebody in small group yesterday was saying, it can be so empty that it's just tastingness, seeingness, hearingness, and nothing else. So what we can, if it resonates, is to remember that it is between the two that the life turns, compassion and emptiness. So we can, the Kenpo also said, when we were describing the one taste, and geez, a little dry, he said, too much emptiness, more compassion. Or we can get so involved, and this is really kind of the tendency, isn't it? So involved in the world and its events and the caring about that we are paralyzed. We're paralyzed. There's no ability, capacity to act, which is power. Emptiness, if that's happening for us, we know there's too much identification, not enough emptiness. Too much of the person carrying the world on its shoulders. It's noble to a certain extent. Healthy egos are really great. I mean, food banks and all of that. I mean, we need it. But a magnitude of power is not the same as that. There's a realization in this that is all is well. All is well, and all things and all manner of things are well. And that can only be directly experienced. It can't really be talked about because we can always say, are you kidding me? But starving children, women being raped, the whole, men being shot, the whole thing. In this world, it's not relatively true. It must be directly encountered within oneself. All is well. And we can find that when we sincerely be still, question, and allow the attention to rest in what actually is, not what's being talked about after what is, but what is. Then surprisingly, what arises is a well of compassion, a well of peace, a well of what actually is, as Adya says, the suchness, the essence of what is lovingness, loving presence. And in the human realm, there's one beingness, right? The body of existence. As we say, Michael says, there's one thing happening here. It's the body of existence. It's the body of God. It's the body of Source. One, and all of that, all of the expressions within that. You know, one time in meditation, and this may not work for you, but you all know what a kaleidoscope is, where you look through and you turn and the pattern shifts and changes. So there's the body with all of its rainbow of expressions, all the pieces in the kaleidoscope, the universal expression, the body of existence, and it's turned as spirit, through spirit, in spirit. So what happens if let's say in this case, let's just call them the blue pieces, human being, are the blue pieces, develop self-consciousness. And all of a sudden, oh, I'm blue, and I'm this, and I'm that, and I'm the other thing, and I have will. I'm turning the world. I'm choosing the pattern. That is the root of all evil. It's the root of all suffering. To say it maybe less dramatically, the Buddhists call it suffering. Other parts of the world call it evil. I'm not talking about demons or anything else. I'm not talking about all of that. I'm talking about the belief in separation and the belief in, and it developed through a function in the body of existence called self-consciousness, which is not fundamental to human beingness. It arises once in a great, great while here. And when it does, it's startling. And it's usually a seed of unworthiness that has to be seen and loved. It'll reflect through I don't know, body image or something. But it's not essential to human beingness. It's available to human beingness, but we've grabbed onto it as reality, as a fundamental aspect of our existence. Are you following me? Am I making any sense? Okay. Self-consciousness naturally quiets with awakened consciousness and the resting of attention in what actually is. Is it the Mahamudra? Maybe, which is kind of like the Heart Sutra, but the Tibetan version. And I liked this image. You rope, maybe because I grew up on a cattle ranch, but you rope and anchor your attention to awakeness, to the clear light, to the effortless present. You inhabit it, you rope it, and it anchors there, which is very different than following. See how the attention is very much a piece of the self-consciousness. Most of you in here are old enough to remember radio dials. Do you know about radio dials? Okay. That's a passing phenomena. But radio dials, remember like you're driving through Nevada or, I don't know, somewhere in, you've been everywhere, but someplace that doesn't have a lot of radio signal, and you're trying to tune your radio to the one station, and it's like, it's fine tuning the attention. That's what love embodied. Living empty fullness. Power. The power of now, Eckhart Tolle calls it. Where awareness is. We don't control awareness. We don't have, that isn't within our realm. Awareness is. It's effortless, spontaneously, awareness is. Attention is part of our we can move attention. We can move it right now. I can say move the attention to the big toes. We can move the attention to the big toes. Move the attention to the sky. We can move the attention to the sky. We can move the attention. What is aware of the attention moving is never moving, right? Awareness does not have any momentum. Awareness is. It's not moving. It's not going, it's not coming, never born, never dead, never, the whole thing. Beyond, it's beyond. Gate, parasam gate, bodhisvaha. It's beyond. It's the other shore. Attention is our responsibility. And it is so habituated, deeply habituated to following the narration of self-consciousness. It's that simple. It is that simple. This is where devotion comes in. And for devotion, we need the heart. Because this is that time. And I'm not talking about crusade or, we are the special ones. No, we are awake in this time of unfolding that has been written from the beginning. We understand that, right? Like all time is right here and right now, past, present, future, appearing as this now. Not some other place, some other whatever. This is the unfolding of true nature consciously now. Sharon would say, hallelujah, hallelujah, hallelujah. There's several of you in here who always, whenever I talk to you, you say, lucky life. Lucky life. I can't believe this is my life. That's the truth. Power, the capacity to respond in the moment, as the moment, is emptiness combined with compassion. And we can't, as we were talking about yesterday, we can just ask, is this kind? Where is the kindness? Where is my attention? Where is the attention? And glory, hallelujah, we can just move it back. It's that simple. It's not learned. It's not, I've sat in meditation for 40 years and learned how to move my attention. No. We all have the ability to move our attention right now. Right now. At any given moment, it was really caught up there, wasn't it? Woo! There. Right here, right now. And you know, I have a mind that always goes to the extremes. So I want to see it in like the real struggle, the trenches. You know, I was a hospice nurse. I worked for the state of Oregon in child protection. It doesn't have to be that way for everyone at all, but that's just what happens here. So like what comes to mind is like Thich Nhat Hanh in the killing fields, Martin Luther King, Ellie Helison, you may not know about her, but in Auschwitz, she's skipping around the fence and blue flowers are blooming ahead of her. And she says in her writings, I can't help it. I know I'm in hell, but there's also heaven. I mean, this is not fantasy. It's just a matter, and here we are, 3 meals a day, heaven realm, soul sister heaven realm, as Sharon calls it. And we have so much capacity and opportunity and invitation to move our attention from the belief in separation to an empty, compassionate, responsive immediacy. That is a giving away completely to that she who animates. I love the word in Hebrew, I cannot say it. The Divine Mother. She say it? Shina. You know, well, that's for another talk because we're at the end, but we will definitely get to the Divine Mother during this retreat for sure. I love you. What could be better? Okay.